So therefore, Islam is a code of conduct. It is a way of doing things with your fellow man and woman. It is a way of thinking and looking at the universe. It gives you a very special outlook how you look at life and the world. And including among that is your social activity of commercial and business transaction. This is why when you say Islam, Islam is a complete set of life, a system of living. You cannot do part of it and leave part of it. Otherwise, it is not going to change you, and it is not going to benefit the society where you are living in. You know, our problem in the Gambia, we say 95% of the population are what? Muslims. But Islam is not impacting on our behaviors and our attitude in the Gambia. There are so many mosques. Everywhere you go, you have mosques. Sometimes even 5 meters between two mosques. Everybody is praying. Everybody is saying Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Everybody has a tosobayo. And everybody is doing window. But still now, there is no change in our behavior and attitudes. Because we are not living strictly according to the teachings and the principles of Islam. And among which is the principle called the commercial and the business principles. It is a subject in the schools. And it is a specialization in MDI and in the university to even your doctorate degree level. But what is Islamic commerce or business? There will be no time for me, because if I want to just say whatever I want to say, all the things, we will be here until 6 o'clock p.m. And it is not fair to keep you here. But what I want to tell you is, Islam is a religion that covers everything. Well, in your classroom, in the textbook, there is nothing written in that textbook that says Allah says this, or Muhammad says this, or the Quran says this. It's not there. Because the textbook actually, even if it is written by the Gambians, but the idea is not Gambian, it is colonial from the British and from the Americans and the international community that you are reading. So I challenge the teachers and the authors of this textbook to be more creative, to be more nationalized, and to be more realistic in bringing the Gambian commercial reality into the textbook of the Gambian students. I think you get my point. Whatever was recited here or said here was a mere memorization. Angale kaulum ka tankalem bakaran kam funkumol koita. It's not going to benefit. It's not going to produce anything, because it comes out of my mouth and my memory box in the brain, but it is not part of my Gambianness. And the only way for your commercial textbook to be part and parcel of your Gambianness, whether you are a Muslim or a Christian, you have to understand commerce and business through the eyes of the Holy Quran and through the teachings of the Bible if you are a Christian. I think you get my point. I'm not being too. Some people might say, is it not a racist idea? Or it is too much of a pan-African idea? No. I want you, the new generation, to be thinking for yourself. Be creative. Whatever you memorize from the textbook is from the teacher. And the education authority is the higher one in the Gambia. But originally it was not there. It was imported and imposed upon your mind. So be creative. Think for yourself. Go Gambia on the fear roller janjanin to Babu Wabola Conco Kono. Nakeba the fear roller Nujan. Barika Firo Keminakam. There was only one very important principle, and Islam actually endorsed and support that. It is called the principle of honesty. The principle of honesty, the principle of frankness, and the principle of not to exploit the poor and the needy because you are going to give them something in return for money. So when we say Islam comes from an Islamic perspective, the Quran has spelled everything out in very simple, because time is of a constraint. I will just give you 3 verses. In the Holy Quran, chapter 1 of the Holy Quran, chapter 2, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 188. Listen carefully to what the Holy Quran is telling you. If you graduate from the school and you want to go into business, the Quran says, chapter 2, verse number 188. Listen to this. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ لتضلوا به إلى الحكام لتأكلوا فريقا من أموال الناس بالإثم وأنتم تعلمون. Do not exploit or use or eat your property among yourself, and you use the same money or property to bribe the judges and the magistrates and the police and the alcalos and the teachers and yourself. Because bribery is not only with the police or the judges. We even bribe ourselves. If you lie, you are bribing. Momo fania for bribery. Fania mo bribe ole. Kadunia fania for drum. Ekamo dole toyi. Eteke famo bulimi. Then you are bribing because you are benefiting from that lies. Any bad thing that you benefit from is a bribe. Aliya Quran wala ayo mo le madna fo madinga kawan. Al kanal lana furul domo. And it is the only commodity in the whole Quran. Listen to this very carefully. Money is very important in the life of human beings. Without money, we cannot live. It's just like the sun. Without the light of the sun, we cannot survive on this earth. I think you know that in school, in biology. Huh? Because there will be no trees, and you cannot, the day and night will not be there. So listen, money is one of the most important things upon which our lives are based, either to feed ourselves or to do something that is beneficial to us, to invest in projects and to build schools, to buy books, to buy food. Money is the means which we use to do this. Then money is very important. This is why in the entire Holy Quran, the word money is never used in a singular. That is, it never refers to one person. It is always referring to so many people. Amwalukum, your money, not your money. Because in English, when you say your, it can mean one person. And when you say your, it can mean how many? More than 2 persons. But the Quran is telling you yo in the plural. So which tells you that money belongs to everybody. So here is the basis of commerce in the Holy Quran. The property, why you are doing business is to get profit, isn't it? I think profit is made out of money. And that money, the Quran says, does not belong to you alone. It is the money of the community and the society and the country. This is why it is amwalukum, your money. In Arabic, I think in English grammar, there is something called demonstrative pronouns. A pronoun, she, it, he, these are pronouns. The same thing in Arabic. When I say kum, it means you in the plural. So, the Quran is telling you and giving you the fundamentals upon which you have to base your business studies and your commercial studies. Nko, nimomwe credit soto in commerce grade 12. Kanata kufang koibita business wire. You have been taught about the principles of commerce in your classroom. Though very poor, I will not even give it a grade B or C. It's always very poor. Because I want to add something to the school administration. Nalbe dindingol karandila commerce and business wala albitiko ro school kono alka theory dila in the classroom and give them practical in the shop. Albitiko law alka dindingol falling because theoretical knowledge is absolutely nonsense. Alialon, nindini wa zero follow brad in grade 11. Na ke bayata abe money la meaning lonna le, abe transaction la meaning lonna, abe julo lonna, abe bookkeeping lonna, aba lonna be ala registry be ala nyame. Now graduated grade 12 with a certificate and an experience in commerce and business. Natata Gunjur Bekela, one of the biggest business women. But the problem is the black people, the African never wants change. As long as we are colonially educated to learn in the classroom, between the four pillars of the classroom, we shall never think to be creative, analytical, and to be productive to go into higher heights. Alama alayhi makoy. Near school in the Gambia, modest certificate or la code. It will never work. But in Mafal Kana certificate when you need it, do work as much as possible as a certificate also. Because without a certificate you will never be employed. But the best employment is self-employment. And you can do that through commerce and business. So Quran your money, not your money alone. So here, Islamic commerce is based on what? Honesty. It's based on what? Frankness. It's based on what? Not to exploit. It's based on what? Not to cheat. It's based on what? Not to say what is not there. Akamunta kwa kulu nonota nono minkumuta. Yebi nonota yaka kamimma kumu. Wala yakunu chalo ta min kumuta yake duma e chali kendol ke santo mona ta san ay chali kumuru woni chali betol de samba o dun ka kijanna buka keba oto say wol be manke islam la commerce and transaction na aya kilim fadale please can my time can somebody just give me time kana na tambe because ku jamale be je nim ko mbabe fola de wulla jam aliyakum o moylaba. The second verse in the Holy Quran about commerce and business is in chapter 4 of the Holy Quran called Surah An-Nisa. The best and the most experienced entrepreneurs in the Gambia are the women. But Nimmusoketa business woman Bati. Kill will run into the jungle. Yeah, the men will run into the jungle or they fly to the moon. Because a very economically powerful woman is a very dominant woman. Nimmusoy kolo so do baake ma fay bede walakin ala e bulal dindi wala hakilo kono jannin kodo be bulale hakilo ko nin kodo kete hakilo kono fay hakilo control you become a dominant tyrant person. Hani ko kino tabi sabonte because ila pajero be do rin jana ila bitigi ba be do rin jana you have your multiple American visas and Dubai. You are the Queen Lady or the Queen Sheba of the Bible and the Holy Quran. But I'm not saying that you should not try to be such women. But before you become a powerful woman, Make sure that you know the Gambian value. You know the Gambian the Islamic value and the position, the role, the responsibility of a woman in society. Let's go to chapter 4, called Surah, the chapter of the woman. Verse number 29 and number 30. Very interesting verse about business and commerce, the general principles of Islamic commerce and principles. You know the details, what you are going to do. Ebe mampato wale business la, ebe tal wale business la, ebe sula banana wale business la, ale sula banana olon. Ali alon. Okay, atol salon balin tol la sere kundang kol talon na mele ya sabu because tol fangol mam betaya we destroy the entire ecosystem. Dindingol malon kote memo sula banana wala. Walakin na kebayat kebawo kebabe balolin bi ak be kaburo kon ala samba ko tana be kaburo kon because I told you ayala environment or destroyed. One day you will not be able to know what is sula banana because you are tinya. Again, you get my point? But I say I'm okay about the cat to mom and mela katinya so mantau. Okay, this verse is very important for you to understand what is the business perspective from Islam. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, it is in verse 29 and verse 30. Chapter 4 of the Holy Quran. The chapter is called chapter of the woman. Quran ole musolo boja. There is no chapter called chapter of the man. But you are given a chapter. Look at this. Yalong Qur'ano akaminke someone me yalong ko they are weak, they are not powerful. Aka wala la prominence in the book. It's just like the cow and the ant and the bee. Imagine one man semboso, including a woman. In that verse, the Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما ومن يفعل ذلك عدوانا وظلما فسوف نصليه نارا وكان ذلك على الله يسيرا. صدق الله العظيم. This is the most important verse about commerce and business. The word business or the word trade, T-R-A-D-E, and the word commerce are mentioned in the Holy Quran. One is mentioned, that is commerce, is mentioned almost 10 or 8 times. And equally the word trade is mentioned on the same amount and in the same number, which is very interesting. So the Quran contains the name commerce and business. This is why the Quran says, "Hal adullukum ala tijaratin tunjikum min adhabin alim." Should I guide you to a trade, to a business, to a commercial activity? So this verse Quran is saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, this verse is speaking to the believers. So every Muslim who is engaged in commerce, in business, in anything that requires mutual give and take, you give commodity and you get money, you must memorize this verse and write this verse in front of your shop or in your book so that you will be reminded every time you are doing a commercial transaction. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, atol mol men dankaniyata yen ñoo xam ne da ngeen gëm yàlla, laa taakulu amwaalakum bu leen lekk seen alal alkanaan la naa fuloo dom baynakum aldamalu tema bil baatil baataloo kan anin junuboo kan wala be kéerin bi walakin na yen dindin wa dindin jabi. Let me just announce this, and in fact I'm going to declare it, I'm not announcing it. Because announcement but declaration is a law. You know, nka moyle dinne wal ka for no, mbatu nata accounting, wala nata banking, wala nata commerce, because these are the needed works in the work field. You see, whatever you want to do as a Muslim in your life, please make sure you know the rulings of your religion concerning that activity. Otherwise, you become a kuto at the same time a kana. Aliyomwe, aliyalom kana wala katala jioba, kuto bukatala jioba. Bali ibe balo kamulunde, imanya kamulun. Nite bi kata kuto ti modi yeje soma yeje kata kana. It means ita kwa Muslim wati bari ka business or milk, it is un-Islamic. Then you get a put one in Canada, hypocrites. They get an difficult because Italian coming on the malo. So, what I think that the ayo is enough Kamobe Kawani. La ta'akulu amwalakum bainakum bil batil. Ako illa an takuna tijaratan, except in the activity of trade, which means to buy and to sell. But akonyadi illa an takuna tijaratan, ako antaradin minkum, with your consent. Ikana marsandiso landi fogajai ay Gambian wal fogajai indile. We are so fogajai, even fogajai dislike our fogajainess. IFM koto landi siloka. Yaku ya musamata koto moye na ikafa kono nimbota dubale science na natanabo paketo kono ite mumu sifa jumaleti. That's the Fogaja mentality. Wala tinna Gambia palapa warata niye silo mutasati bakono ye sunkutu je ay dendi kakawa ko dum Fogaja a sangola amanta bi $25. Ye kambani je ay jutal ke ay okuto bondi Fogaja le din Fogaja is your number one enemy, you Gambia. Fogaja is your enemy. Man get one yadeba. In the beginning, imagine them Fogaja can follow Konoja. So everybody is beautiful and handsome. But if you start here, Fogaja will Fogaja in the Folabon coming to market of Fogaja. So you have to stop that. Be a thinking person. Alaye deda priye mira. Alaye deda priye dunia deda. You must be somebody who is creative. Except in business. And in business you must be honest and you must be frank and never exploit the need of the people and never be a monopolist. Whatever Gambia jam. Walakin Gambia niela bi. Itata somanda ko yesukuru poto mudalaji tanni woro wulalti ala moyde ibatu fo somanda isa dimbiti kekilim ko $18 biti kol be kambenta su to tebe sin wala through the mobile ifona ke 18 the next morning. Monopoly. Islam man la for business wala ye marsandi so ma boy la biti ko ne ka fo modi atije yin kamala na man ka you raise the prices to exploit the people. It's not Islamic business. Wala be farin banko ka. Walakinna you cannot just be a good Islamic businesswoman or a good Islamic businessman except if the society has an Islamic value. And that value is freedom. What is the meaning of freedom? It's not to do whatever you want to do. Freedom is to know your responsibility and to know your limits. This is freedom. Nitata dictionary to give man the chance to do whatever he wants to do. It will be your dictionary not whatever glitters is gold. Think about it, argue against it, debate it, and just prove the truth. Mafal kana karande ala karande. But be very curious and be very creative and be very educated for you to become a very correct intellectual to build your society. Freedom is one. Justice is two. Equality is three. Public interest is four. Public property is five. Isn't it? Consultation democracy is six. And name it. Using a rational mind to use the power of your intelligence to think for yourself is another value. When these values are in any society, that society can live according to the Islamic principles of business and commerce. Okay. So, أن آية ميبا إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراد منكم ألكم ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم. Don't kill yourself. Ask yourself, what is the essence? What is the importance of bringing ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم, this very phrase in this verse? But I had done in the verse of commerce and business. Why? A bad commercial community. Dulamiya lonko businessman or kakuriyatal, businessman or mantiling, businessman or kafuar or toral, businessman or kamarsaldi so minnata ka funding kel tinyale, businessman or mambala so they are not compassionate, they are not considerate, they don't even think of the welfare of the people. Ika borol nati minimum fala, ika kinol nati mini expirata, ika fogada dendi kol nati daboni jata kono be minibala. Latin na yemmo mo jinde sana ba balo ngorotila. Fogaja yemmo da o skin disease, dermatological problems. Hane ba bitan o tenjara no. Tumal de kenati is the business people. Momo kawo ko at the end of the day ni nyanta kala molbe jisumola le kelo ke civil war bina. Walakin wherever there is no good commercial and business transaction based on humanity, based on humanness, based on compassion, based on trust, and based on Islamic principles and the universal principles of other religions, at the end of the day, people will rise up and fight for their right, and that leads to civil war. Mo bebe kumbola ma fo baluwo koleata ba dolbe kucha domola dolbe nyankata domola dolbe benna kino domola bare kucha nyongoten domoro kono atelo mo domoro be betemati jande wol benna kino ala kayan dolino bal fala dak mo bebe tinkola be sino la doron alna ta kucha kamma alna kucha domon jadwe kende ya dolino min niyaade kabo kono gasino mo dolinde. So this is our problem. This is all part of commerce and business. Ibe sawo fenna tina betea. Ala koyeko wala taqtulu anfusakum. We are killing ourselves because all the bad foods that we are consuming at the end of the day, they are affecting our health. Dindi mbero and diabetes. Dindi mbero and hypertension. Dindi mbero kafwe ko I have osteoporosis. Kulu fete wala be mkulo ko mun kulu fete ne yemuta. Because what we are consuming coming domo jumal kanati is the businessman, the woman, and the commercial activist. Islam wa man la fi wala fennati min be mol nafal fennati min be mol baloni hakilo ni niyo de dala to build and develop our minds. Because if you are not healthy, you cannot be intelligent. Because your body is going to dominate your mind and your brain is not going to function properly. There must be a combination of the soul, the body, and the brain for you to produce intelligence. Qur'ano koyeko wala taqtulu anfusakum. Allah kana Allah bikum rahim, because Allah la balafa wala Allah mamul de la prier fa oto limbe business wala nake tilimoka nake tonya kan kanyon lege. This is what is called business in Islam from an Islamic perspective. But the way you are going to do your business is up to you. Bari kanata ye fali buota yake paketo ko ne kana wa bibiti ko to ka fo mo le warga longoti. Kana o kede do wala be siari be jamano min ka fali buo wa fi mol may ko warga le. Because fali buo ni warga be kini. And this is what some people are doing. Huh? And this is what is happening here now. Waleta Fenkota, what they call it, I told you, Sama Kolominka Atole along biology students, Sama Kolominka ta Akatama, Hombo Bala Akakumoto Akate. Ah? Snelo Lomba, Angale Kankaki Snell, Dola Kaudo, Nyeke, Waleta Nyekelita, Yefa, Yekelita, Ikanawa, Demonse, Pojija. Obeka Kijan, Almalon. You know, when people are just distant from Allah, when people are ignorant of their value, when people don't understand and respect their humanity, they are prepared to do every evil to get what they want. عليكم أمر أقويكم ولا تقولوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما ألا بلا فاتنيل سمو فين شولا تعالى هل من لهم على يدنا يالو هذا ما جمع على يدنكي سمو من لهم فلو على يدنا بالدنيا كله جمالو. Science has not yet conquered many areas, but I think before science conquered those areas, Gambians will be eating fufu or ebe wala Charlie Simbombe tula wala domboka. Because science yentol kukomale, we are left behind. Because one, society is not encouraging anybody to become a scientist. The school Allah Ghalib Tulal Kojadi Alaleyana. If the teacher is not given the right privilege, the necessary necessary tools to build somebody, the teacher cannot produce a scientist in any school. So we don't want you to be graduates from universities with PhD degrees. Atol buka fango fenke foy buko min safiya tubabu du alka wala jube aliya copy afele professor google ma sibo ke dunia hani ko moy ta research for doctorate degree akata professor google aya copy aya nati because lim bitala wa doctorate supervisor o fana yedi same ko sunare kili wala ke nyo kala fula ale nyo kalolon ni ala ndi duma nim baba e kili mo muta kili mo ka ma ko no bam nin kuto borita ika wata kana mambori follow. We are in a problem. We are in an academic intellectual problem and a spiritual problem for that matter. So wala sabu jam ala tulodo ala koye ko kana alkana la nafulo do mabata roka fona kita business clean de mota business jankari mo ka famfale nati marchandise o min mambeti aka kura wala ke nim marchandise wala price o cikata bake sumol ka siale nim sumol siata momo ka kel wala ke sumol be di palajang sumol be mol di palajang na meta mo bele ka wuli ka fo balwo ko liata kel ka wuli oto ala kon kalam famfa ala mo yakana min foye ako momo ka o firi jawo ni mo ku jawoke ako ikake mine kamma wolom jawya kan udwanan in enmity wa zulman and in exploitation and transgression ala kon nuslihi naran ala kabidu dila dimba kono ayjan wa kana dhalika ala Allah yasira ke jani dimba kono munatin ala nan de janila walakin aljam way kennake hada madimu ala niyafula kafala ka junubo kafariye but ni halama dingo toji limu ala la marchandise oti atol fene alkalbe commerce nim business la kala kodi atol la commerce nim business beta kala minati juice lom anim bayol anim duto anim kaba anim jaram anim pial anim alkalbe ta wala kala business oti ba ala ko atala commodity ala marchandise is a human being. Don't exploit a human being. Don't lie to a human being. Don't sell a very bad commodity to a human being. Don't cheat a human being. Don't tell him what is not true. I mean, respect a human being. We have given dignity to man, the entire human race, not to the Gambian alone, to the exclusion of other human beings. Everybody should be respected. Malum falani kumomo walakin ala ko momo kawkabe min kelela akon fihi jahannama mba dundila ka jani dimba kon wa kana dhalika ala Allah yasira ala ko kawaki afayatal munatin na bo mari dundila dimba kon, and that person was doing commerce and business because he is not doing according to the principles of Allah, and he was exploiting in the first place aka hadama dum wala tora walakin na firi la jaw business la jaw hani sumale bala fa wartate kaduni sumo yesunya kodi ake fonni la tawala bari mol ka bala fa ye kale so fendinna bari businessman jaw na e bi marsandi ci kurwa nati ni yabi ka faale mol ka bala fa ye kate bade walakin businessman jaw le kuriyata hani sumo fa wati ate dank ay profit o to dorong sango fento asasa ton mo jaba kala ye chali simmo sali simmo ta ye potino kakan pura kana toli siel kana toli yena wo wa fi mulu ya da fa wali ya domo moli ya domo walakin na wadi tambe ta otumo wato de ka to kili nyaade birin sniper be chali simmo ko wato wadi kaburo mbasen na dorong dak posi o molbe fala do fanan kuran jamabe bol balo kono, they are working with it. Walakin the Gambia nini mobe kajala soma fata ko kunu nabe kajala na ataya wo mari mo bomole ti kuran bomolo a exploiter le jamalo bomole ba kono don bebo wajamale na le bomola saya mo canal surprise. Everybody is a time bomb of disease. So upon that note, I think not to consume much of your time and to take all your time, I would reiterate and I would just recapitulate what actually in brief, in a nutshell, what has said. Islam is an activity, and the best activity for man to work for his own satisfaction and the satisfaction of society. And business is an activity whereby you go for profit, you provide, and you give. Because it begins, as you know in your classes, there are three types of business or commerce. It is called business to business, it is called business to consumer, and it is called consumer to consumer. This comprises the entire scope of what is called business in society. Because businessman o ala batole ke mol solata minna ka wala nat mol ya kodo dial na be profit o jidela ay reasonable akana tamde mol te min nol ay marchandise kendo nat ay tonya yala marchandise o kunna ay silan alala nim mol ya fen diala as adasata ay mun alala bari ganna ko mo soronna fas kelinala wala qur'ano ala chapter 82 e ka fo meye people who are engaged in giving short measures waylun lil muttaffifin. Mbenna kumo soron na jere chapter is called chapter 82 of the Quran, verse 1 to 6. ala moy Quran o kamem fo wala be keri gambia waylun lil muttaffifin alladhina idha kadu ala an-nas yastawfun. Ni tol kata modi ya kurum wali ya samol dila ka sumaye wala ka pesaye e ka foyle ko I want a full measure. وإذا كانوهم أو وزنوهم يخسرون. Barnitol badi la mon le kabinete e kapoto joli pale pour sumandiro e dasa wala marchandise min badi la mankata dum min bala fata beti isa fay ko wallahi mburo fota ko ne wutumo mburo bi je karakili faniya sabo min be dollata dolla faniya dorom nin kek be mbuso kon e kay ko kek ya dati wati jumal ako just now 5 minutes back yara wo bije bring 1 week ni jo samba so kon ite gambe mo fanan e habuta bate ite te o jube la yow du ko kono kon the next 10 minutes e kon kono kandi min yesamba health center yara fang you are inflated with a bacteria ninno mun na problem on ala ko e ko nyimmo sifan and is what is happening here ala ko ala yadullu ulaika annahum mab'uthun li yawmin adhim yawma yaqumu an-nas li rabbil alamin oto businessman o salon ko kaburo bije ka wuri kaburo ko na bije konti bo bije wolum ila biti ko ni la kodo ila supermarket o ni la mall ani la millionaire ya bute nafa oto ko bena muruni ila Allah wa ila rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam nim for the jam we say thank you for your good listening and may Allah